we do have an international audience, people from Japan all the way to Brazil, Nigeria that tune in. So I always like to ask the guests, where were you born and raised, just in case most people don't realize.
I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And at the age of 8, my mom and my mom sings. I come from a musical family. My aunt sings, my dad is a guitarist, so my mom and my aunt got on the Greyhound bus, which is, do you guys have Greyhound buses there?
Yeah, and I went to college in the US, but yeah, but we do have something called National Express in the UK, but yeah.
Bus from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to,
Wow.
yeah, it took about 3 days to do it.
Yeah.
And because my mom and my aunt wanted to, pursue their singing careers.
Wow.
So we got to California. I grew up in California. Once we got here, I said, I want to sing too. At a young age, my mom found me a commercial agent, and I started booking commercials. I went on my first audition, booked it. I did a Kentucky Fried Chicken commercial with Ella Fitzgerald when I was 8 years old.
Ella Fitzgerald, wow.
Yeah, so it's like, as soon as we got to California, things just started happening really quickly for me. And I signed my record deal when I was 11. And
Okay. No, but before we get there, I mean, I know you mentioned your mom and your aunt were singers, but when you were growing up, who were you listening to and getting your sort of singing inspiration?
Yeah, I was definitely influenced by my mom and my aunt, but outside of them, Michael Jackson.
Oh,
I was the biggest Michael Jackson fan. As a matter of fact, when I got off the bus, when I moved to California, you think of Hollywood, you think all the stars walking down the street. So I'm looking around to see if I can find Michael. I was like, so Michael Jackson, Shaka Khan. My first song that I sang, I was 7 months, and my mom has it on cassette.
7 months.
I was singing "Tell Me Something Good" by Shaka Khan when I was 7 months.
Oh.
And I couldn't talk, but I could sing the right melody. I had the melody. So Shaka inspired me. I love the Emotions, The Best of My Love.
Yeah.
As Wanda from the Emotions, she's the one that picked us up from the Greyhound station when we moved to. Yeah, my mom and Wanda, they've known each other since they were teenagers.
Wow.
So, she picked us up from the Greyhound station. And let me see, Wanda, the Clark sisters.
Wow, the famous Clark sisters. Yeah.
So I grew up listening to the Clark sisters, Whitney Houston.
Wow.
My favorites. Yeah, as well.
So at that young age, what was your mom? What was she singing? Was it pop, R&B, gospel, and your aunts?
They were singing. They sing art. They still sing. They sing R&B.
Okay.
So it's like the old school R&B, with the harmonies and the old school harmonies, and yeah.
Were they going to be a duo with the two of them together singing when they were their whole dream of moving to LA? Was it for them to sing as a twosome, or what was the?
They still sing together. And then my stepdad, he sings with them, so it's the three of them together. And they still to this day do shows like, in different places and stuff. But since COVID, it kind of shut down for everybody.
Yeah. Last week I interviewed Lily from SWV.
I love her.
Yeah, and I said to Lily, so who inspired her when she grew up? And she said, Shanice Wilson. She says that when I saw you, Shanice, on Star Search, that she didn't have a deal and she was singing. She says, "Wow, that if Shanice could do this, then I can do that." As Shanice, and I'm really inspired. And I'm just like, and I do remember because I went to high school in Nigeria, but we got Star Search, and seeing you at this young age, fearless. I mean, now we see a lot of kids doing it, but back in those days, it was something unreal for us to see. How was it like for you, your parents, mom, putting you up in front of these auditions and these shows?
Well, the good thing is that I was never forced to do it. Like, I loved it. I wanted to do it. I was so excited. When I was 8 years old, I literally used to sit in my closet with a cassette player, and I used to pretend like I was in a recording studio writing songs, and
Wow.
you know, had the opportunity to do it on a professional level. I was excited. My mom even told me, like, before I signed my first deal, I signed with A&M Records when I was 11. She said, "Are you sure what you want to do?" And I'm like, "Yes, this is really what I want to do."
Wow.
So I didn't have like a stage like that was like, you know, forcing me to do stuff I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
I love singing. I just love being on stage. At a young age, I knew at a young age I wanted to be a singer.
I mean, I told you about Lily. Did you know the impact you had on other young artists?
There's a show, I don't know if you guys have it there, but it's called Unsung. It's on TV1. And they covered SWV's story, and she mentioned it on the
Okay.
story. I literally like had tears. Like every time I hear that story, it really like it touches my heart, because I'm the biggest SWV fan. Like, I love all three of them. They're amazing.
Yeah.
I music too.
Yeah, but as I mentioned, there are artists who are very big in America. But as I mentioned, now I'm born and raised in the UK, but I went to high school in Nigeria, and we didn't have the internet, but back in the 80s, 90s. So if an artist can make it big in Nigeria, for me, that means that they've exceeded the US and they've gone international. And very few American artists. I mean, Chaka Khan, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson stuff. But I remember you from high school seeing you performing, and to us, and you always sang like you were happy all the time, which this is always, we always remember that this is just this happy girl that's singing and bringing joy into the life and stuff. Did you notice that was part of your persona as a singer back then?
I didn't notice that. I mean, I was just being myself, and so I had no idea that I had that effect. Like, I was just happy, I was just always happy to, like I said, like I wanted to sing. I was excited. I get to like do what I love. And I came up with the title of "I Love Your Smile" when we were writing that song. And I wrote down, Narda Michael Walden said, "Give me a name title for a song." And I wrote, "I Love Your Smile."
Wow.
And I came up with the title because kids used to tease me in school all the time because they said, "You're always smiling. Why are you always happy?" So that's why I said, I need to write a song about a smile, because I'm always smiling.
Yeah.
So
Okay. I mean, we've spoken to a lot of people about the industry, and I wanted to know from your point of view, how important was it having your mum and your aunt there in the very beginning when you got signed at 11 to A&M Records? I mean, because we know the sad sides about the industry, but being that young, how important was it to have them there?
Well, I was a kid. I mean, I was a baby pretty much. I remember being up at the label with my cat, holding my Cabbage Patch doll in my hand. Like,
yeah, Cabbage Patch.
So I'm glad. I'm so thankful that I had my family there to protect me, and to support me. Because like you said, like I've heard the horror stories too of kids starting at a young age and being around the wrong people and trying drugs and having nervous breakdowns and all craziness. And my family protected me from all of that. I never experienced that. I've never been to any crazy parties or, I had my grandmother touring with me when I Love Your Smile during like touring. My grandmother was on the road with me. So I always have kept my family around me, and they always protected me from any like negativity.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think you showed us your grandma was in your video. I Love Your Smile. Was she?
Yeah, she was in the video.
Oh my
and
goodness.
The part where I went to, there's like a bunch of people, and I went to snap a picture. My grandmother she's in that whole scene. She's like right in.
Going back to when you were 11 and you signed with A&M. Now, Janet was on that label, wasn't she? Was she on the label? Did you
Yeah,
know that that was the Janet's label and everything when you got
yeah,
signed there?
I did, and I was excited. I mean, I'm a huge Janet fan too. So, and then I got to, because we were label mates, I got to know her as a person, and I used to stay at her house, and we used to stay in touch, and we're really good friends. So it was cool to be on the same label with Janet.
What was it like the first time you did meet her? Because at 11 years old, just big Michael Jackson fan. All of a sudden, you're seeing his little sister. What was that?
I can't remember the first day I met Janet, but I just remember being very excited to meet Janet, and then I met Michael, and I worked with
Wow.
Michael. So yeah, I was super excited, and then she ended up being a really cool person. Like I said, I got to know her as a
Yeah.
person. It was actually really cool. Yeah.
So then, what happened with that your debut album on A&M? That's you had to move to Motown. That it didn't. What was your thoughts reflecting back now?
Um, I honestly, like, my first album was like one of my favorite albums that I've recorded. So I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't release more singles, from the album, because I thought it was a really good album. And I wish they would have, just, pushed it a little harder and put out more singles. But John McClain discovered me. He signed me. So when he left A&M Records,
Oh.
I left A&M Records, and I ended up signing with Gerald Busby at Motown Records. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. So before we go to Motown, how John McClain, part of Michael's manager, is probably managing his estate right now, and discovered Janet. Um,
yeah.
but when he sort of left, was it that easy just to say, okay, well, I'm leaving as well, or because I thought you tied
Well,
down?
a guy named Bill Dern was co-managing me along with my mom and my aunt, and I knew that there was another opportunity for me in Motown, because Gerald Busby heard about me and he was interested in signing me. And my manager at the time thought it would be cool for me to be with Gerald, because he has children, and he knew how to work with like young people, like
Yeah.
young. So we just thought that would be a great place. But I
And
love John McClain. Like,
okay.
when it was I can't say anything bad about it, other than I wish more singles, they would have released more singles.
Yeah.
But A&M was great.
Yeah. I mean, for those people who might not know, but Gerald Busby was very big at MCA, discovered New Edition, Boys to Men. I mean, he was,
Johnny
he
Gibb.
was Johnny. Yeah, he was our sort of our '90s version of Barry Gordy. I mean, he
Yeah,
was, yeah.
he,
He and Losal Jr. when they were,
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, when we heard Gerald Busby, we know that wow, he was such a power broker.
Lil Silas and Joe Busby, they were together at MCA, but then Gerald ended up being the president of Motown. He left MCA and went to Motown, and then that's when I got to Motown. Is when
Yeah.
Gerald.
So then, what was the difference when you got to Motown when it came to writing and producing your first album with them? What would you think was different? I mean, I know you're a little bit older, and you probably learned some lessons at A&M.
Yeah. It was fun because I got on that album, I got to do more songwriting. So Gerald Busby connected me to Nardo Michael Walden.
He did a lot of
And
stuff with Whitney Houston.
yes, Nardo Michael Walden worked with everybody from Mariah Carey to Whitney to Aretha Franklin.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And so I was in the studio with Narda, and he was sitting at his piano, just playing music, and I just started singing melodies off the top of my head, and then I gave him a bunch of song titles and stuff, and the songs just, he brought in his team of people to work with us, and it literally, like, we recorded that album so quickly. Like, I love working with Narda because he's a great vocal producer.
Mm,
How to produce vocals, and he took me out of my comfort zone, which I loved.
wow.
Certain songs that we recorded in really high, and I said, Narda, I'm not singing in that key. I said, that's too high. He said, you can do it. I know you can do it. So I love that about him, because he would push me really hard
Wow.
vocally. It was really cool.
the thing you've touched on quite a bit was about the writing part, and you know, and I don't know if this is stuff that your mum and aunt recognize about the importance of publishing and writing, but did you recognize how important it was to write, or what was it for you?
Right. Well, my mom and aunt knew, you know, that how great publishing is and everything, but I had a love for songwriting. Remember, when I was 8 years old, and I used to sit in the closet and pretend like I was in the studio. So I've always been in love with songwriting, like before I even had my record deal. So.
And so you knew how important it was to actually write and sing your own songs, as opposed to singing other people's songs.
Yeah, I knew. Well, first of all, it was something that I enjoyed doing because I
Okay.
love. But I was also told that it's good to. I think it's good to write your own music because it's when you're singing it,
Yeah.
it's more believable when it's coming from you, you know. And then publishing, honestly, songwriters make way more money than artists.
Yeah, well, of course, definitely. Yeah.
Way more money. Like, for instance, Chris Brown, he did a song called Undecided, and he used the melody to I Love Your Smile in the hook. Well, I got publishing on that because I wrote on the original one. So
Yeah.
it's like once you start writing, it's like that publishing money, you'll have that forever.
Yeah.
And so I would say to all the artists out there that can write and that's interested in writing, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
Well, I mean, and I think we can hark back to the beginning that your mom and aunt knew about the industry and was protecting you, because unfortunately most of the artists that we've talked to subsequently didn't realize, well, they were writing, but somebody took their publishing when they signed their contract, and those were sort of the lots of sad stories that we've been listening to, is that, yeah, we signed off, we didn't realize that we gave away everything because no one told us. They just said this is a standard contract.
Yeah. Yep, that happens a lot. That's why you gotta, know what you're signing. You gotta have the right, people around you, because people will, like, it's a dark industry, and if you don't know what you're, and you can really, it can really mess you up.
Yeah.
And you signing your whole life away if you don't know what.
Yeah, no, it as I said, it's not been as much as I've probably spoken to 40 different artists from the night. It was fun at first, but when I kept hearing the stories, it's been heartbreaking to hear the same.
The labels, they don't like when the family members are working with the artist.
Yeah.
Because they can't take advantage of you.
Yeah.
So that was the downfall. Like, the great thing is that I was protected. The only bad thing about it is that labels don't want you working with your family. So it was kind of like, an issue in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard subsequently that the more you know, the less they want to work with you, because it's as if, well, we can't take long-term advantage. But I think, I mean, that's definitely something that hopefully artists today can learn from. But when you were working on your first album with Motown, is there different pressure? I mean, you're on Motown. You've had the legacy of the Temptations, the Beatles, the Supremes. You've had DeBarge. Motown was going through changes. Since the DeBarge, there was probably not many people. I mean, when Gerald came in, he got Boys to Men and yourself. But what was it like for you coming onto Motown? They still had the Stevie Wonder and everyone around.
It was exciting for me because Gerald Busby was the president, and Gerald was so behind me, and he was so excited to have me on his label. So I really, like, with Gerald, I felt the love from Gerald. So I didn't feel like any kind of pressure or it just felt great. It was just all good. And like I said, I wasn't thinking about what everybody else was doing, and musically, I just was focused on what I had to do. And Gerald made it like a great experience. And I knew that he was behind it. Once you have the head of the label behind you, it's actually a really good thing. So I had Gerald's blessings and I had him behind me. And he really, when I tell you, I Love Your Smile, when he put that record out, I did not want I Love Your Smile to be the first single.
Wow.
Oh, no. I told Silent Prayer, it should be the first single because we were in the middle of a war, the Persian Gulf War.
Oh, yeah. There's a storm. Yeah.
Prayer. I said, this is the perfect time. Johnny Gill's on the song. This is the perfect first single. And Gerald Busby told me, no, I'm not changing it. It's I Love Your Smile. And I remember crying.
Wow.
And I'm like, no, Gerald, it's the wrong song. And he didn't listen, of course. And he put that record out, pushed it, and it was like #1 in so many countries. So I got to travel the world. I was nominated for a Grammy. And I was so wrong. I was so wrong about that song.
Yeah, when I interviewed Marvin Riley from Ready for the World, he says when Gerald left MCA to go to Motown, it affected their career, because that's how Gerald, when he works on an album, he pushes it to, and they felt the effect of when he left MCA. But
yeah.
But then you think about it, and it must have been something he did when you wrote I Love Your Smile. Did you know how infectious and how powerful it was, or did you just think, okay, this is one of many? Silent Prayer is a better song.
I really didn't know. I knew when we were writing it, I knew we wanted something catchy that people could sing along, but I didn't know that. Like I said, I didn't even think that was going to be the first single. I thought it was just going to be on the album. I was not thinking like, this is the big one. This is the first single. So no, I did not know when we were writing.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I mean, you traveled. That song traveled over to Nigeria, and I was still in high school, and we didn't get American DJs and stuff. So for it to come on our radio, this evening I was having dinner with the family, my kids and my wife, and I said, "Oh, do you know this song?" And I played the song. My 9-year-old daughter said, "Oh yeah, I know that song." My 11-year-old son, this evening, said they know it. The most surprising was my wife, who doesn't listen to music at all, said, "Oh yeah, I remember that song growing up in Nigeria."
Oh, yay.
and that tells me when a song is that powerful, that generations are hearing it and still remember and say, "Yeah, we know that song." I mean, that's a powerful thing, to be able to write and perform a song that 30 years later, new people are discovering it. Do you? And it's not just our generation who were there when it came out, but it's, as I said, a younger generation. How does that feel, having that type of an impact on a song?
It's just mind blowing. Like I said, I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it. So, and it's funny because even though it's been around for a long time, I could be in my car and the song come on the radio, and I still get that feeling that I got the first time on the radio. It's like I never take it for granted. Like I still get excited. I still get excited when I hear it, and I'm in the fact that Chris Brown brought it, like he introduced it to a whole nother generation.
Yeah,
I'm just like blown away.
Now the single is number one across the world. Then was this your first time then touring? Because I don't know if you did any touring when you were on A&M.
When I was on A&M, I toured. So okay. I did 14 when my first album came out. 14. So and I did a lot of shows in the first album, and so, but and I went overseas. Yeah, when I was on A&M Records, they would send me overseas, like to Europe and Japan and different. Now the sad thing is, I didn't get a chance to do a lot of touring in Africa, and I used to always say, how come I'm going to all these countries and I haven't been to Africa? I finally got to visit Johannesburg.
Okay, South Africa. Okay.
It was years ago, and it was at a festival, but that was my first time. Like maybe about 10 years ago. Wow. So it took this long for the labels to send me to Africa. And when I went there, I was blown away because everybody knew my music, and I'm like, they know it in Africa. I was happy.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, there's a global appreciation for good music, and as I said, there's a massive appreciation. I know, as I said, I went to college in the US and lived there for 10 years, and I know that it's quite easy to, okay, we've heard this, let's hear something new and stuff. But when you come out, we don't get R&B as much, and so we appreciate the old stuff or new stuff. We just appreciate artists. So that's probably why, as I said, my wife, I'm still surprised she remembers, she knows the song, but yeah. Um, but then when the song is so big, how does it feel for you knowing that everyone knows you? Biggest artist in the country at the time. What is it like personally?
um, it's exciting. I don't know. It's just a great feeling. I can't even. It's a feeling that I can't even describe. But I'm very like just thankful, and that's why I get on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and I'm just constantly telling everybody how much I appreciate everyone because um, everyone has been so supportive. I've been in the business over 30 years,
Yeah.
and everybody has been very supportive of me. So it's just a great feeling. I can't even describe it. I feel great.
So after the big album, which was great, then when it comes to going back, 21 Ways, what was 21? What was it then? How hard is
Well,
it?
the thing is, this is the thing. Um, I still think Silent Prayer should have been a second single. So they went from I Love Your Smile they went from smiling to crying. So my second thought, I'm crying. I didn't think it was consistent with the first.
Mm,
So Silent Prayer, I think they went wrong on the second single. I love I'm crying, but I think they should have released that later. It should have been Silent Prayer with Johnny Gill. That should have been second. Then when I did 21 Ways to Grow, the thing is, they said that I Love Your Smile was too pop and that I need to do something more urban because because of my Black fans. They said, you're a Black artist, you need to do stuff that's more urban. So they purposely, when we did the 21 album, had me doing more urban songs. And I know the 21 album didn't do what I Love Your Smile did. So I feel like first of all, I Love Your Smile was number one on the urban chart. It was number one in America on the R&B chart.
yeah.
Like so I don't understand. Like I had Black fans and white fans from I Love Your Smile, but that's where they went wrong. Now that's
Yeah, I mean, sometimes as fans, we assume it's the artist that says, that this is the direction we want to go.
they said no, it's you're by you being a Black artist, you can't do a bunch of pop music. And I remember when Whitney did a pop song, and everyone was like, remember it was at the Soul Train Awards or something, and I think she got booed or something at the Soul
Yeah,
Train. I'm like,
yeah,
are you kidding me?
yeah, yeah.
So, but it's not like that now. Like, I think everybody's kind of like you have um I don't think labels are looking at it like they did back then. Like you can do pop music and be.
Yeah,
I think I hate that is that there's a label. Like I feel like music is music. Like I hate that it's like pop, R&B, this, that. Like I think you should just focus on doing great music and not have such a label on everything.
I mean, 91, 92, we had Mariah Carey singing, I won't call it pop, but she was singing more crossover music.
Yeah,
Whitney was singing more crossover music. Boys to Men, their second album was very crossover.
they're like
And
the biggest in the world. Some
and
of the
and,
biggest.
and those became the biggest artists. And I remember, and I don't know if you remember the group Rift. They sang My Heart Is Failing, and they were in Lean On Me.
Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
remember.
So their first album, it was very sort of popish, and they were touring with Vanilla Ice. But then Nitty Green said, we saw Jodeci and we thought, oh no, we want to go urban. And unfortunately, album sales dropped because the R&B fans were saying, well, we're not like Jodeci, and they lost their pop fans, and
They,
and
they
it
Yeah, that's where they messed up with that one.
Yeah. So I mean, so from yourself, did you, when the label was saying, okay, we want you to do a lot bit more R&B, who were they looking at Mary J. Blige and thinking, yep, we want you to be like that? Or who were they looking at thinking that this is why we want you to do that?
Yeah, they didn't tell me like we want you like Mary, or they didn't give me a name of an artist. They just said that we're losing our Black fans. And I'm like, how are we losing our Black fans? #1 R&B. I was just so confused. But when it's the head of the label,
Yeah.
when they're behind it, you know, it's like, I got to do what I'm, you know, told in a sense.
And so so when they're talking about doing more urban, who are they enlisting to do production for you compared to, was Michael still, was he still allowed to work with you?
I didn't work on that album, but there was a song I did with Daryl Simmons. It was called Don't Break My Heart. Now that right there, I love to this day. I get in my car and I still listen to that song. And then I had, Turn Down the Lights was on there, right? Turn Down the Lights, I think, was on my 21 Way. So there were some songs on there that I think the first single was probably the wrong single. But I had Turn Down the Lights. And I had a song called Don't Break My Heart by Daryl Simmons. So I had some good ones on there that worked for, from, it wasn't too far from I Love Your Smile and that Inner Child album, but they didn't really push it,
Yeah. Daryl Simmons, from people who might not know, he's works alongside Babyface. Babyface says he's his best friend. So it's a very similar style.
So many, they did, I think, End of the Road by Boyz II Men. A lot of the big Babyface songs, Daryl Simmons.
Yeah, Daryl. Yeah, so yeah, Daryl is Babyface does give him credit a lot.
Yeah.
So when the album doesn't do as well, what happens to Shanice when, okay, oh goodness, I've gone from being one of the biggest stars in the country to now my album is not really making it on the radio and the charts. What happened?
I did Broadway. I was Eponine I was the first African American to play Eponine in Les Miserables, which was a huge thing for me. So I did theater, and
but were you still at Motown, or did you part company?
I was actually in the process of leaving Motown at that time. Because Gerald left Motown. That's what it was. Gerald left Motown. Like I said, he was the head and the head of the company that signed me. He's leaving.
Oh, Andre Harrell comes in.
And then Andre Harrell came in. Yeah. And so I left Motown. I ended up doing Broadway. And then I remember Babyface called me in to sing on Usher's record called Bedtime. And I did some backgrounds on it, and I sang on the bridge. And I think that's when it clicked for Babyface. Why don't you sign to LaFace? But I must say this, and a lot of people don't know this. I literally signed to Clive, to Arista first.
Oh.
I was on Arista, and then Clive felt like he had too many female artists, and he asked me would I mind being signed to LaFace. And I was like, yes, I love LA Babyface. So he ended up putting me on. And then Babyface, I think I did the thing with Usher. I think that's when he's like, he talked to LA, and I ended up signing to LaFace.
Yeah. But if we go to Broadway, like The Miz is massive here in Europe and stuff, but how did that opportunity come to go on to do theater?
Well, first of all, I started in theater when I was a little girl. When I first moved to California, Kim Fields, Kim Fields.
Kim Trudy, yeah.
Her mom, Chip Fields, she used to do like stage plays and musicals, and she taught me how to act. I went to this school on the weekends. My mom would drop me off on the weekends, and I would take acting class, singing class, dance class, like all these different classes. And Kim's mom was the head of the acting department.
Wow.
So she did a play, and I got to perform on stage when I was 8 years old with Kim Fields, Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Wow.
Lisa Randall was in there. My friend Sean Earl, he did Broadway as well. He was in a Ring on Broadway. But so I started out theater. When I did, Richard J. Alexander told me that in the middle of the night or something, my video came on, I Love Your Smile. And Richard J. Alexander was the producer for Les Mis on Broadway.
Wow.
And that I want Shanice to play Eponine. So he reached out to my management, reached out to us. And at the time when he first reached out, I was touring. I didn't have the time to move to New York and to do the show. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it, but this isn't the right time. And then I reached out to him again and I said, okay, I'm ready now, because, things had kind of slowed down. It was so hard when I'm traveling the world, trying to promote my record and this and that.
Yeah.
So then I finally did it. And I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
It was a different kind of singing, because it was almost somewhat like an opera.
Yeah.
So I had to really work on how I pronounced my words. I had to sing totally different than like my R&B pop music. It was totally, but it was challenging, but it was worth it, and it was a lot of fun.
What does theater do to you as an artist? I've spoken to Tony Terry, and he talked about how theater, I mean, even when he talks, he's almost acting as he's talking. But what did it do for you as an artist?
You know what? As an artist, when you do theater, first of all, you have one chance to get it right. So if anything goes wrong, you have to, be quick, and you have to keep it moving. And I remember there was a time when I did Les Mis, there's this like big gate that they have out on the stage. And a lot of my blocking and everything was around the gate. It was supposed to be around this particular gate. But right before I went on to sing, the gate broke and they couldn't get the gate out on the stage.
Wow.
Run out there and just like improvise, So that's the one thing that theater has taught me, how to like keep it moving when you're singing live on stage and not panic.
Yeah. And I don't know, did you feel that at the time it was a step down, being a very successful recording artist, and now having to do theater because the label wasn't supportive with the second album, or how?
Theater is huge. Like, there's a lot of people who work their whole lives to be on Broadway. Like, to say you've done Broadway, that's like,
yeah.
I had to see my name in lights, and my picture in the front of the building with my name in lights. And no, it was actually, I didn't feel like it was a step down. I felt like it was like an honor, and to be the first African to play Eponine on Broadway in Les Mis was it was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, a lot might not be said about how groundbreaking that is, because right now, if we look in Hollywood, with the rise of Black Lives Matter, even westerns and period dramas are having multicultural actors, so they're breaking the mode now. So for it to happen back, in the in the 90s with yourself, I mean, that was groundbreaking, because as it now, it wouldn't be a big deal, because as I said, that they'll get, I think Denzel has played Macbeth, people are not even thinking about it anymore. But
that was a big deal. And now, I mean, you have a lot of like big celebrities and singers and actors like wanting to do Broadway. Like, so I never thought it was a step down at all. Never. So
you're on your LaFace. So you think about, I mean, we've spoken about, the 90s was such an amazing year for R&B music, because they had the debut labels like LaFace and Bad Boy, and Jam and Lewis had Perspective. We had all these small, Death Row, we had all these small, and so LaFace were very known for, TLC, Usher, Outkast, Tony Braxton. I mean, as yet, so they it was a really really amazing label. So now you're on that, and Face was coming up with soundtracks from Boomerang to
Yeah.
Soul Food and
Right. But I sang on the Boomerang soundtrack before I officially signed to LaFace. But I got to sing the Boomerang.
yeah, I did, yeah, I mean, I do remember, I do remember that, and but you're on LaFace then. What's the difference being on a smaller label like LaFace compared to, you know, A&M and then Motown? Now you're on a small label where you sort of, yeah, and and you know, they've got really established acts who are really making it, like TLC and Usher and the
Right.
rest.
I was excited to be on the label. First, I'm big fans of I'm a big Babyface fan, L.A. Reid, and just watching what they did with Tony Braxton, TLC, Usher, Outkast. I'm like, wow, even though it was considered a smaller label, they were doing big things. So I was excited. I didn't feel like I was on a smaller label. And and they had the budget, and then like so they had the funding, the money, so I was excited. I was actually really, really excited to work with them.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember Donnell Jones was there as well.
At the same time, I was there when Donnell was there.
Oh, okay, yeah, he was, yeah. I interviewed him and he was talking about, he was fortunate being a writer that he would go work in Jersey, and bring his stuff in. But who did you get to then work with when you had your Shanice album on LaFace?
Oh my gosh, I worked with so many people. I got to work with Dallas Austin.
Okay, yeah.
I worked with Jermaine Dupri.
Oh.
I worked with, of course, Babyface did a lot of the songs, and Daryl Simmons. Who else? Warren Campbell. Warren Campbell produced when I my first single, and I loved working with Warren because he's such a great vocal producer. He can sing, he can write, he can produce, he plays every instrument. He's just so it was a plus working with him. And then the record, when they put it out, in Billboard. We actually broke a record in Billboard. It entered at like 91 or something like that. And in the first week, it went, I forgot the number, but it jumped from 91 to like 12 or something in the first. And at the time, not now, but at the time, we broke a record. That was like the biggest jump in the history of Billboard at that time. So yeah, so that was really cool. And once again, that record did extremely well for me. And then they stopped pushing it. They started working. They were like, oh, on to the next artist, It's like, I feel like they didn't continue to push it the way they pushed the first single.
So, I mean, and I think looking out as an R&B fan back then, I do remember that around that 91, 92, 2000, that's when a lot of the labels started to go through their mergers and stuff. I think Clive got ousted at Arista, and then LA moved over to Arista and stuff. Did you think any of that affected that album for you? That sort of the industry moving around and stuff, and then.
Yeah, probably so. I really can't say exactly what happened because I really don't know. I really don't know. But that could have played a part, definitely, for sure.
Yeah. So when they're not pushing when they're trying to say, okay, let's move to next. How, as an artist, what sort of influence or what could you do? If they don't push out the next stuff.
Just try to start on the next one. I was really disappointed because I really loved that album. I thought that album was great. But you just have to keep it pushing. And, I started touring. I went on tour. I opened up for NSYNC, went on a big tour with NSYNC and got to open. Wow. Yeah, you just have to, like, when stuff like that happens, then you just have to, stay positive and say, okay, what's the next thing? Let's keep it moving, because I was very down. And in the beginning, I was like, oh man, I really love this album. I don't know what happened. But so I started touring, and then I'm like, okay, let's start on the next album. And then I got pregnant and I got married, and the label let me go while I was 5 months pregnant. So yeah, so I was like, and I got a phone call saying, yeah, they're just gonna let you be a mom for a while. And I'm like, I don't want it. I want to have my baby, but I don't have to sit down. Like I can still sing. Like I still have my voice, So that was a really tough time for me. It was really tough.
So when I'm not doing this, I'm a mental health therapist working with under 19s, and part of why I started this was just to hear inspirational stories and for us to listen and say, wow, just amazing how in the big stage setbacks happen, but you still were able to sort of come through. I have no idea what that's like as somebody who has been from 8 singing and doing this, and then to be told, okay, well, you're pregnant, so you're yesterday. I'm not using the word yesterday, but we don't need you right now.
Right.
Personally, I mean, on reflection, how did you take that, and what was it like?
I didn't take it well at all. Like I literally, I cried a lot. And I was really sad. My husband is an actor. So, after we had our baby, he was, he would get up every day, go shoot his show, go to work, he's still living his dream. And I just felt like everything was taken away from me. I felt really sad, like really, really, really sad. And I was like, I didn't want to be in the business anymore. Like I felt like just giving up on the industry. And then I remember getting on YouTube, and I had this one fan that was so encouraging. He would put up all these videos of me and just like speak like really good things about me. And then the videos was getting all these views and everything. And I said, you know what? People obviously want to still hear me sing. So I decided to start my own label. So, and then in 2006, I put out an album called Every Woman Dreams, and I partnered up with another independent company, and I put out my first independent project in 2006. And I think on the Urban AC chart, we went to like number 12 or something. I forgot which number went up there. We did pretty good. But when it's your own label, it's expensive. It's so expensive to keep rolling because it was coming out of my own pocket.
Wow.
So we pushed it as far as we could, and then we had to stop. But that's what kept me going, is like the fans, honestly, is the reason why I'm still singing. Because when I get on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and I hear all the encouraging things, that pushes me to, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this for them. About the industry, if they want to act like that. It's for my.
Yeah, I mean, it's as I said, a lot of us will not understand what it's like or what's going on, because they don't make an announcement saying, well, Shanice is about to have a baby, so we don't want to. We're going to drop it. We don't hear, because
the crazy is when I told them I was pregnant. By the time I told them I was pregnant, I was like 5 months at that time. So when I got that message, I said, I only have 4 months left to go. I'll be in the studio for the next 4 months recording. Nobody's going to see me pregnant.
Yeah.
So I just didn't understand.
Did you get do you get a personal phone call from the president?
Yeah. I got a phone call from an executive, and he told me, he said, we think you're extremely talented, but we're just going to have to let you go. And I'm like, huh? So, yeah.
Wow. And how much was that on the fact that, because if Shanice had done, say, triple platinum or so, do you think that they would have, you know, they would have had second thoughts because, okay, you know, this, what were you thinking?
I don't know. I mean, I know that it went gold, and I know that how much money when an album goes gold. I know how that's a lot of money for the label. So I know they made their money back, you
Yeah,
know. So I really don't know. I really don't know.
yeah. And you know, and you know, and I know that you know, we all know that you're married to Flex, and you know, I remember watching One to One. As I went to college in the US and stuff, and but I didn't realize he was married to you until later on. But you know,
Yeah,
he was
we've been
in
married.
for how long?
We've been married for 21 years now.
Wow, my
We have
God,
two.
2000. Yeah, that's. I mean, so at that point though, um, how does family? Oh,
Uh-oh, sorry.
okay.
My phone rang. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's probably LaFace come to say sorry.
Oh
I'm just
no.
kidding.
I would love that.
um, but in the midst of the how because it's an amazing story that you mentioned that you got inspiration from a fan who was just posting and supporting you and stuff. How about family in the midst of what you're going through? Could they understand? Or does it, you know, when you're going through those type of dark times, do you push everyone away and no one can say anything encouraging?
Well, my family was there to support and encourage me. But you know, my mom and my aunt, they've always put in my head that even like when I was on top and everything, you can't just focus on one thing. Like it's good to put your mind on other things as well.
Yeah,
Like, you know, have other interests. Is, you know, and because just so that if God forbid if you're having your up, because this industry you have your ups and downs.
yeah,
And you know, your downtime, you can have, there's other things you can focus on. That's why I love acting. I love, you know, there's different things I can do. And I think that helped me too. Just, you know, and I had my family to hold on to. I had, you know, so that helps me through it.
yeah,
My family helps me through it for sure.
yeah. The what did you miss the most during after, you know, because I can't imagine though how hard it is.
It
You
was
know,
hard. It was definitely hard. It was hard. I went from traveling the world, being on tour, to just home. I'm just sitting at home. I have a beautiful new baby who I was so thankful that I had my baby, but I just could not, I couldn't travel anymore. I couldn't, you know, I couldn't, the touring and all that just stopped. Everything just stopped.
wow.
It was really hard. And then I'd get up and my husband would go to work every day and he's still living his life. And I'm like, why can't I do the same? Like, why can't I live my life too and still have our baby? So
Yeah.
it was hard.
I mean, a lot of us also hear about what here in the UK, you know, postnatal depression and how challenging that could be, and which, and I don't know how a challenge as a new mom then thinking about my careers taking instead of celebrating my baby and everything. Um, w-
Yeah. And I
how?
did it postpartum. I was very, very depressed. I could not stop crying. I'm like, I'm so happy. I look at her beautiful face. I'm like, I'm so happy I have my baby. I just could not stop crying. You know, it was really sad.
Yeah,
But like I said, I went through that for a while, but then I snapped out of it. I said, you know what? I still have my voice. I still have people online saying they want to hear me sing. I don't need, I can still sing. Like I can still tour. I can still, you know, put out my own music. And that's the one thing that I love is there's a good thing about the industry. And then, I mean, with the, not the industry, the internet. And then
yeah,
there's a not so good thing about the internet. The good thing is that artists can actually put their own music out and you don't have to wait for an executive to tell you if you're good or not, or if they want to sign you or not. And that's a really good thing. The sad thing is that some people are getting music for free and not paying for it. So artists aren't selling like used to back in the day because people are downloading it for free. And and stuff like that. But I love the fact that independent artists can put out their own music, and you don't have to wait on someone to tell you if you can do it or not.
Yeah.
You know?
I did a poll on our channel just to find out how most of us in our generation who have, bought CDs back in the 90s, how we're listening to music today. And I said, is it Spotify? Is it YouTube? Is it on the radio? Are they downloading it for free? Or are they using any other streaming service? And more than 50% says that they listen to music through YouTube. Not, some of the radio stations around the world is, old stations and stuff like that. Very few people in my generation listen to any of the newer artists that are out now, because they sound we think that they sound the same and the messages aren't the same. So we're listening to a lot of throwback music or artists from the 90s who are releasing newer stuff, but mainly through YouTube, which means that it's a very different way of receiving money, and which I know for some artists, they put out music as a way of just getting everyone to remember, okay, they're still around, but they're focusing on the touring. For yourself, as an independent artist, what are your thoughts about, well, if I'm putting out music, what is the benefit of putting out new music today?
Well, you know what? Now, I think in the beginning, like as far as getting paid through YouTube and this, that, I think in the beginning, no one knew how to like what to do.
Yeah.
But I get paid. Like there's a company that collects all my digital, like so when people like watch my song on YouTube and different places, I literally get paid for that.
Yeah.
I have a that collects all my like when people down like this, they collect all my digital music.
Yeah,
like
digital, yeah.
royalties.
Yeah, the royalties, yeah.
So I still get paid from all of that. So I appreciate all of that, because I still get paid for that too.
Yeah, some as a songwriter, then some as a performer. But then going forward, then do you still think about, okay, if I'm releasing new music now, am I releasing it really to try and get revenue from that, or is it a way of saying, guys, I'm still around, here's some new music, I'm going to go on tour and I want to be able to perform some newer stuff? What's the balance between releasing new music in today's market?
What is the balance between
The
touring?
reasoning, because back in the day, you're releasing an album to generate revenue. Today, the album sale or the streaming sales may not be as much. But yeah,
I do it for the love, and I also do it not only for the love. Of course, if you want to make a living from it, but I have to focus on the love in my fans. Like if they want to hear me sing, and I love to sing, the other stuff, the money and all that will come. I think it's important for artists to really focus on this, the love of music, and that's why I do it. And whatever that is just extra. It's just icing on the cake. But I just try to, and then stay creative on other things. I have a lipstick line called Smile by. I'm actually revamping it. I'm working on it. I'm redoing it right now, and I'll let you know when I re-release it. But I have my own lipstick line. So I think it's important for, like, as an artist to get into like branding, and I've always been into cosmetics, and then I wanted to find a cosmetic that was safe for us, because I didn't know that makeup had lead. Some makeup have like chemicals in it. So I've been doing a lot of research on that. And then television, I don't know if you know this, but my husband and I had our own reality show on Oprah Winfrey.
Yes, on the Open Network, yeah, Flex and Shanice, yeah.
I'm just like, I do the music for the love, but I also have so many different avenues, like so many different things that I love to do as well, like acting, my lipstick line, just everything. I just try to do as much as I can. Yeah.
I mean, I know that recently, I mean, as I mentioned, during the lockdown, we were, we were tuned into Instagram and everything. DJ Cassidy comes with his Pastor Mike, and well, probably over 5 million people have watched it on my channel alone. And when you come on and you hit that high notes, it blows us all away. Like, what? It's as if we forgot Shanice could sing. I mean, it was, you know, as I said, that was the season 3 of the Pastor Mike is our favorite. It's been the most watched. But as I said, you come out with that high voice, and it's like, wow, it's almost so effortless for you. I mean, can you talk about getting called by Cassidy to say, can you come on? What was your thoughts, and did you know about the show and anything?
Yeah, I watched the first 2. So
Okay.
I was and someone reached out to us. We didn't know Cassidy before. We didn't know him personally, but someone reached out to my husband and said, DJ Cassidy's trying to find Shanice and he wants her to Pastor Mike. And I was like, absolutely. I'm a fan of the other, you know, the first 2. And so we talked to Cassidy, and he told me "I Love Your Smile" was one of his favorite songs, and we just did it. It was fun. It was a lot of fun doing that.
Wow.
And it's really cool. Huh?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
And he, you know what he does? He doesn't tell you who's on it with you. So when for the first time, once he edited, everything was put together, and I watched it for the first time, I had no idea that TLC was on there. Boyz II Men and SWV and Casey, was it JoJo?
Casey, Keith Sweat, Father MC, Teddy Riley.
So watching it for the first time was so much fun because he doesn't tell you who's on when you shoot it. So that was cool.
The part when you do the little high, did you know? I mean, as I said, that's everyone says, my goodness, Shanice, where did that come from? Did you practice that, or did you throw that in? Like, let me just show you guys.
I've always been a big Minnie Riperton fan, and I did. If you listen to my Inner Child album, I remade "Loving You" on album. So I've always been a fan of Minnie Riperton and that whistle note that she hits, and so that's just something I've always used. Like in the beginning, I couldn't hit the note like when I was younger, and I started studying with Seth Riggs. My vocal coach's name is Seth Riggs. I started studying with him. And then I started hitting notes that I couldn't hit before, just from vocal exercises and all that. So that was just something that I've always enjoyed, like doing. I love Minnie Riperton.
Wow. Then the other time then I see you was on the BET Awards, the Cypher, Soul Cypher.
Yeah.
Goodness, it's almost as if you were just like, okay, let me show you guys what you're missing with, and then you just blowing the stuff. It's like, wow. I mean. And you know, Shantae Moore is also one of my favorite because she has that kind of angel voice. But you're there singing like that. I mean, wow.
Every stage was like amazing. Like I'm a fan of, you know, PJ and Stokely and Shantae. And I got the phone call maybe about 2 or 3 days before the show. So they said, could you do the Soul Cypher? It was like a last minute thing.
Wow.
And yeah, of course I'll do this, the Soul Train Awards. Yes. So they said they gave me this Erykah Badu beat, and they said that I had to write 16 bars to this Erykah Badu beat. And so I just made up a 16, you know, my 16 bars. But then when I got there, Shantae and everybody, they were singing their own songs, kind of their own songs on top of this. I was like, wait a minute, I could have just sang "I Love Your Smile" on top of it. But I actually wrote everything that I sang. I actually had a couple of days to write it. So
wow,
I had to write it, find something weird really fast. It was like this. It was so last minute, but I'm so glad I got to share the stage with it.
Yeah, no, as I said, vocally, I mean, you hit us with those 2 performances, and it was like, wow, and that's where the sort of nostalgia for us were like, man, we kind of missed not just the music, but the versatility, the difference, and the styles that our 90s artists bring. COVID has sort of, you know, it's still lingering around, but people have gone back on tour. You know, what about yourself then? Unfortunately, we're here in the UK, so we don't get to appreciate to see you guys. But have you? Did you go back on the road? And
yeah, I've been doing shows here and shows there, here and there. When I did the show, I don't know if you saw, I did an episode with Shantae Kelly Price, Deborah Cox, and Jill Scott. She has a show called, what is it called? First Wives Club.
Okay.
And in the episode, Deborah Cox mentions to Jill Scott mentioned Deborah Cox that she wanted to put a girls group together. So then I come out, myself, Shantae, and Kelly Price, we walk into the room and surprise Deborah Cox. So when we shot that episode, we did talk about possibly turning that into a real tour. That's something that we all talked about. But COVID is just like really making to but that's something I would love to do, like a girls night out tour.
Okay.
With
But
like,
yeah, it's because Donnell, Dave Hollister, and Carl Thomas said, "Yep, we're forming a group called the Chai," and it seems as if a lot of sort of the male artists are like coming together. You know, we had LSG, we had Tank, Tyrese, and Genuine, who's formed. So it seems the male artists tend to think about, yeah, let's do it, and they don't even waste time, they go and do it. But very few female artists have, and I can't remember if any have come together to form a sort of a super group.
but that's something. It was so the reactions we got from the fans when we did that on the TV show was so great that I think it's a no-brainer. Like, I would love to do a project like that. I would love to do that, but I got to get the other girls on board.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great idea.
But even touring on your own, because as I said, you've you had those amazing performances on these shows. As I said, Pastor Mike, and even the BET stuff, that people would be like, know what they're going to get here in your life. But are you as keen to do solo tours around, or is it just there's too much, you're balancing a lot of your business, your cosmetic line and other things?
So I have somebody working on some things for me right now because I want to go on tour.
Okay.
It's a little different now because of COVID, but there's ways to do it, safely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely would love to go on tour for sure. Maybe next.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, as I said, people think yeah, as I noticed, it's important to be safe, because as I said, when you have a family, and there's always a balance. What about new music? Is there anything that we can expect from you from that?
I'm always working on new music. I'm working on new music. I'm definitely going to release some new music next year for sure. I don't have a date or anything, but I'll keep you posted.
Okay.
Posted.
So, I mean, as we wrap up, I mean, vocally, you amazed us, as I said, performing. As could we ever see you re-record any of your best songs from your first and second album in your modern day Shanice voice, for us to experience those songs in how you are today?
That's a great idea. I've always wanted to do that. I just have to, I just have to find the right label to help me put it out there. Because I don't want to just record it and just throw it out there any kind of way. I want to have a good team behind it, a good label, marketing, PR, like all of that. But that's actually a great idea. And that's something that I've thought of for sure.
Yeah.
So,
because I mean, as I said, we had Taylor Swift when she said, "Yep, she's re-recording her album."
that's great.
Ashante said she's just about to do it.
And you know what's smart about that is that the label owns the master. So they own the label owns the original copy, right?
Yeah.
If you re-record it and you wrote it,
Yeah.
you own it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you would actually own that recording, which is a great idea.
And as I said, to some people would say, "Oh, the vocally it's not the same." But then, as I said, you've proven with how you've been on recently that, wow, vocally you're almost on another stratosphere with how you sing. And so to actually to hear us sing, not just to hear you sing those songs, and the ones that even the ones that you wanted to release that didn't get released again, would be, would be something that people
I,
would request and want to listen to and hold on to.
I agree. I totally agree with you. So I need to figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, it's been great. I mean, I always, when I in our show, I always ask our guests that if you were stuck in an elevator and you had to, they said it'll take a couple of hours, but you can watch a movie while you wait, what would you request to watch?
It has to be one movie.
Yeah, it would be 2.5 hours. So yeah, I'm not looking for the going with the Wooden trilogy or something.
It's be between The Bodyguard, Whitney Houston, or what my favorite movie is? Coming to America.
Wow.
Eddie Murphy.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
They re-air it all the time, and I literally laugh at all the jokes as if I've never like it's the first time hearing it.
Oh goodness, yeah. And I think when they did the part two, it actually got most of us going back to watch part one and recognize that those were different times, but how much different and how fun it was.
Yeah,
What about your song? If you had a favorite song all time by anyone to pick, what song would it be?
gosh. I would say "The Best of My Love" by The Emotions.
Okay.
And the song is because that song literally taught me how to harmonize. I could sing a lead all day long, but I couldn't harmonize good until I started listening to The Emotions and just learning how to harmonize. That's like one of my favorite, "The Best of My Love" by The Emotions. It's one of my.
When you're on tour, do you sing that?
I actually never did that on tour. I'm gonna add to my show. I've never.
Okay.
But who I did. I want to say this because I didn't get to say this in the interview. But when I was 11 years old, one of my first producers that I worked with when I signed to A&M at 11 was Tina Marie.
Wow. Why? Wow.
Song with her, and I'm actually gonna read. I asked her daughter if it was okay for me to play the song on my Instagram page, so just so people can just hear the song that Tina produced on me when I was 11 years old. So when I do my shows, sometimes I'll do like a little bit of Michael Jackson. I'll do Tina Marie, Square Biz, and Whitney Houston. So I need to add The Emotions to that list.
Okay. What's your favorite Michael song?
Oh my gosh, like all of them. I love "Remember the Time." I love "Butterflies," and I love, of course, "Thriller" and "Beat It" and "Billie Jean" and all of that whole album. And I love the stuff he did with the Jackson, when he was in the Jackson 5 too. Like "I'll Be There" and oh gosh, all the Jackson songs, like ABC.
But if you could pick one, if you say, because my favorite of song in the universe is "The Lady in My Life" off his Thrill album. It's, I wish he did more. I think "Butterflies" is as close to that type of love song that he's done. But if you were to pick his one song and say, okay, this is it, this is my.
It would be "Butterflies." That's my favorite Michael song. I think "Butterflies" is my favorite.
Yeah. I remember being in LA, and Steve Harvey used to be on, I can't remember, I think it was KGLA. I can't remember. He used to be on the radio back in the late 2000. And
KGLA.
and he was just playing it when he was doing his show. He would just keep playing the song. It's so it's beautiful. Did you said you got to meet Michael?
I worked with him. I sang backgrounds on his record "Keep the Faith" with Saida Garrett. And
on his Dangerous album. Wow.
And "Will You Be There?"
Wow.
Yeah, I got to sing backgrounds on there. And then when he passed away, John McClain reached out to me, and remember they put an album out right after he passed.
Yeah.
And I added my voice to his song "Behind the Mask."
Okay.
So I sang on that.
So when you did those two, "Keep the Faith" and "I'll Be There," was that with Andre Crouch? Was his
Choir? was there. But before the choir came in, I did some parts with Saida Garrett, like before the choir. So there's like parts with myself, Michael, and Saida Garrett.
Wow.
Yeah, before the choir.
And I didn't realize you were on then at the Danish album. I didn't realize. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. I
Yeah.
mean, how is it? I mean, I've heard lots of people who've worked with him, always speak highly of him. But, do you get starstruck, or would you?
Yes. I was so starstruck. He was really nice. I remember saying to him in the studio, "Do you want some candy?" Because it was a big thing of candy in there. And he was like, "Oh, I haven't had candy in a long time." And yeah. And then before I met him in the studio, I want to say this. He had a limousine pick me up, and I got to sit with him and talk to him for over an hour in his trailer when he was shooting his Moonwalker video.
Are you kidding me? Moonwalker. Wow.
Movie. It was like a slight little movie
Yeah.
trailer with him. And we talked for like over an hour. He told me my song No Half Steppin' was one of his favorite songs. He said at nighttime before I go to bed, I dance to No Half Steppin'. And I'm sitting there like, are you kidding me? He was super down to earth and very nice. There was another kid that was in there with me. I ended up running into him a couple of years ago. He's an adult now, of course. And he said, I met you with Michael when you were younger. And he said, Michael he was going to prank me that day. He said, I just wanted to tell you, Michael was so excited that you were coming into the trailer and that he wanted to prank you, but he just the right prank. And I said, man, that would have been so cool to be pranked by Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
But
when he said he actually liked your song, and it's not like, okay, I like your smile, and he has all of his people say, okay, what song has she sang?
I was on A&M Records.
Yeah, no, but okay, yeah, but the fact that he's actually picked out one of your songs to say that he actually likes, does that, because I've heard other artists, Troop and stuff, who say, yeah, Michael says he saw us, he knows our songs, and it's almost as if he, that's amazing. But what was it like to know that he actually knew you as an artist?
Wow, like I literally wanted to pass. I feel like I was going to pass out. But I was trying to play cool in front of him. I didn't want to go, Michael. So I like, oh, thank you. But when I got home, I was like jumping up and down. Like I was so excited that Michael loved my music. And we had the same vocal coach. So we got to talk about that. And Seth Riggs, he studied with Seth Riggs as well for many, many years. So we got on a conversation about, doing our vocal exercises. And I asked him, where's Bubbles? Where's Bubbles? And he said, shooting a commercial. He said, he's shooting a commercial today. I was like, wow. Oh, cool. But he was really, so after I met him the first time, and I would hate to hear people say bad things about him because I know my experience.
Yeah.
Super great,
Yeah, he's my all-time favorite. And I do wonder, I can see you actually singing Butterflies, especially that high falsetto that he does. I mean,
and that's Floetry. Floetry wrote that.
Yeah.
But, dude, I would love that. I wish I could have been on that record.
Oh goodness! Well, Shanice, it's been a blessing to listen and to hear from you. As I said, you've just to know how you've inspired a generation. As I said, even going global, back in those days. And as I said, to see then first rediscovering you on Past the Mic and on the Soul Cipher, to say, wow, vocally, you still have a range that is very rarely matched and stuff. And so I think we will definitely be looking forward to seeing more of you on the road, on new music and stuff.
Definitely in 2020, 2022. Yeah, it's coming. I'm definitely gonna do more touring and music and everything.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, what we'll do is next week, because we tend to break this up so that a whole week we just celebrate. So this week it's I don't know if you know Gina Thompson from she sang The Things We Do.
I know that name and I know that title.
The
I,
things we do keeps me in love with you.
oh, yeah, yeah.
So I interviewed her I think, last week, and so the whole week, this week,
Oh,
is
that's
is
cool.
it's her stuff, and last week was Lily for the whole 5 days. Just her interview went now, so I tend to use just the whole week and this is our season of Ladies of Soul. So so Shantae Savage and Mook and Steph and Blag. So we're just going to celebrate our female artists and stuff. And so it's just going to be a pleasure just to be able to showcase and people to hear your story. They may ask, who is the lady in the picture behind you? Because
That's me. That's me when I was on Motown.
Oh, I was going to say that looked like a Dinah Ross, but that's you.
Ew. No, I
Oh,
love I stay that song.
oh goodness.
Yeah.
Star Search. I mean, was it Ed McMahon? Was he?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Star Search when I was 11. And I remember when I won, Ed McMahon threw the envelope up in the air. He was so excited. He was like, yay. After Star Search, he presented me with an award. I went down to Disney World in Florida, and they had like a Star Search Wall of Fame. All the winners, they would give them like put their star on the wall. And I remember him giving me an award and putting my star on the wall at Disney World. And I remember he invited me to sing at his church.
Wow.
Before he passed away. Yeah, he had me singing at his church.
Wow.
So
You must have had such an effect on him that he remembered you that.
he's always really, really nice to me. Nice
Wow.
guy. Yeah. So
Wow. I mean, and I think it's different when you think about how Star Search was so big then. We have the American Idol and The Voice and other stuff, but I think Star Search was somewhat different.
American Idol, Star Search.
Oh, I missed that. What did you say?
I said Star Search was the original American
Yeah.
Idol.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
As I said, to be able to inspire a generation, as I said, you'd be able to inspire, other artists and stuff, and to start off so young and to still look as if you're still, look as if you're, when it comes to today, if people say, okay, Shanice, I mean, you've been in the industry for over 30 years, you should know good music. Who do you listen to today that's out and think, okay, here's some people to look out for and you might recommend?
I love Bruno Mars.
Okay.
And I love that he has with Anderson .Paak. I love that. Is it Silk Sonic?
Yes.
I love Beyonce. Everything she does is amazing to me. I think who else is out there? There's so many great singers. Lettucey. She's a good friend of mine. You know Lettucey?
No.
Oh, I gotta introduce you to Lettucey. She's amazing. Who else? There's I still love Deborah Cox, and I love Tamia, and I love Faith Evans. There's so many. And Stephanie, my girl.
What about the newer? We've got Jasmine Sullivan, Hair, Annie Lennox. We've got.
Yes, I love Jasmine Sullivan. She's amazing. But you said someone newer. You said newer than that.
Yeah. So we got the Annie Lennox, SZA, Jasmine Sullivan. We've got Hair. We've got some of these. We've got
Great.
we've got Gideon. We've got a lot of sort of it's so our generation.
Ayanna Taylor.
Yeah. Okay.
Ayanna Taylor. There's a lot of great ones out there. So many.
But it might seem like you're very similar to the rest of us, that you do prefer some of the artists that came out in your generation more so than some of the newer things that are.
Oh, I listen to everything. I even listen to rap. That's why I was rapping on "I Love Your Smile" because I wanted to rapper when I was younger. So
Oh,
I'm not a rap artist. I listen when I get in my car. I turn on like the hip hop stations, and I listen to all the latest stuff. Fifth Harmony, Normani is
yeah,
a Normani
no,
of
yeah.
mine. I love her. I think she's amazing. Um, yeah, I listen to all the recent stuff. Who else is out there? Oh, I love the what's her name? Chloe
Yeah, 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 with her sister, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Haley. Yeah. So no, I'm definitely all the latest stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned the rap in "I Love Your Smile," and who else was Bobby Brown came out with "Don't Be Cruel," but it was very, normally we get a rapper, like when Jody Watley came out with Friends, you got Eric B to come in and rap. But how did the label agree to let the Sunshine Kids rap on her
Well,
label on her song?
I told Nari Michael Walden that I love rapping. I said, can I rap? And I was a really big MC Light fan and Queen Latifah and Salt and Pepper. And I was like, I want to rap. So that's how that came about. And the label was okay with it, you know. But I actually wanted to be a rapper. Like I wanted to do a whole rap album.
What? Are you serious?
Everyone looked at me like I was crazy. I
Oh,
always like I was the biggest MC Light and Salt and Pepper fan.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but well, especially Salt and Pepper, we're sort of a little bit in a different direction from the image that you that you had. You had the good
Yeah.
girl image, and they were like, "Yep, no, we're the original bad girl." Oh, but did you ever collaborate with MC Light or Salt and Pepper?
No, I never got to work with any of them. I remember when I started working with on my LaFace album,
Yeah.
I had a song on there called You Can Bounce. And I remember saying, I want Little Kim to rap on Bounce. I wanted to have, and they said, no, let's wait till we get to a remix. Let's reach out to her once we do a remix. Well, they never released that as a single. So
Oh.
but I wanted Little Kim on my record.
MC Light just recently posted about the fact that she now has the trademark of her name. But it's some of the things that would be great if you do re-record, your album and then have a remix version of it with MC Light singing, doing the rap instead of you and
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
So
that
hopefully
would be,
you can think about that as an idea. Like, okay, MC Light, why don't you come and do and rap on a remake version of "I Like Your
that would,
Smile"?
I would love that. I would love that.
Okay, well, if I hopefully we'll see it, and then we know where the idea came from and stuff. I'll be in little credit notes and stuff for inspirational suggestion. Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, but most importantly, to press the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do have a new interview. Loads to come, but thanks a lot for watching.